on this episode of the Jeff Does Vegas podcast.
All the shows, no matter how grand and big they are, or even small, you're doing it and I'm watching. And so with Dueling Pianos, it's we're doing it and you're doing it with us. And you guys are in charge. This is your show, not ours. And it just makes it very special.
In Spanish, its name means the Meadows. You might know it as the entertainment capital of the world, Lost Wages, or simply Sin City. Of course, I'm talking about fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. On average, 42 million people visit Las Vegas every year, and I'm one of them. I love this city. The sights, the sounds, the shows, the people, the history. I want to share all of it with you. Taking you to the world-famous Vegas Strip and beyond, my name is Jeff, and this is the Jeff Does Vegas podcast. Hey there, and welcome to episode number 65 of the Jeff Does Vegas podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast journey to what I like to think of as the best city in the world, fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Before we get started for this episode of the show, I want to thank my guest from the last episode, Vegas entertainer and actor, and the greatest Donald Trump impersonator in the world, John D. Domenico. John was kind enough to jump back on the podcast to answer a question that I should have asked him when he was on the show the first time around over a year ago. We also talked about all the different projects he's got on the go, what it's like doing his Donald Trump for the legendary Alec Baldwin, and how he's kept busy throughout the pandemic shutdown. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, jump into the archives wherever you get your podcasts and search out episode number 64, John D. Domenico, the second term, or head to the website at jeffdoesvegas.com. All right, on to the show. My guest for this episode of the podcast is someone that I've been trying to get on for a while now, but our schedules just never clicked. I'm a huge fan of hers, and anytime I have a chance to see her perform, I know I'm going to absolutely love it. Sarah Hester Ross is an incredibly talented musical comedian and singer-songwriter. And if you've ever spent time in any of the dueling piano bars on the Vegas Strip, there's a very good chance you've seen her play. Sarah and I talked about her musical background and how she made her way to Las Vegas. We talked about some of the shows she's been involved with in her time in the city and how she's been building her online presence with all the awesome material she's been posting on her social media channels. Please enjoy my conversation with Sarah Hester Ross. All right, so I hate to do this, but I'm going to begin our conversation by fanboying a little bit here. You are one of my favorite Monday's Dark performers.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime I come down to Vegas and Monday's Dark is on my schedule and I see that you're on the lineup, I'm like, yes, Sarah's on the lineup and guaranteed she's going to break out the keytar.
Oh, yes, yes. I do love bringing the keytar down there because it seems like it does get a different kind of reaction. So it's like, oh, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I bought it for.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
You know, it's still super lame. No matter how you look at it, it's lame. But
oh, I love it. I want to start by getting to know you a little bit and learning a little bit about you and the Sarah Hester Ross story. You are a Vegas transplant, I'm assuming. You're not one of the rare people that's actually a born and raised Vegas local.
No, I'm not. I'm not weird enough, apparently, to do that. Just kidding. Oh my gosh, I'm just kidding. I'm even weirder. I'm actually from Florida. That's right, where Florida man reigns high on their crown. So, you know, me talking down to native Nevadans, I have nowhere to talk because I'm from Florida. But yeah, I was born and raised in Tampa, Florida, and I lived in Orlando for about 7 years before I moved here in 2015.
So you really, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you haven't been in Las Vegas for that long then. 5 years, really?
Yeah, almost 6 years, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And so between the time leaving Florida and making to Las Vegas, what did you do in between then? You bounced around, performed, did various things elsewhere, I'm assuming?
Yes, I was actually, what brought me to Vegas was a musical called The D Word. It was a D Word, Ditched, Dumped, Divorced, and Dating. It was a musical written by the author of Menopause, the musical. And so we were doing a tour, and we did a 3-month stint here in Las Vegas at the LVH, now the Westgate. And I just met so many great people. And then when that tour ended, I started doing Dueling Pianos, and nothing was really keeping me in Orlando. And I had met my boyfriend, Andrew, and we were doing the long distance thing. And it was just kind of like, I could probably do Dueling Pianos in Las Vegas. So I sold everything I had. I packed my car and I drove across country. Now, seeming a little irresponsible at the time, but it worked out so far. I guess there's still time to fail.
What was that drive from Florida to Vegas like? I mean, I've never done the cross country US travel. I've done cross Canada driving. I mean, there's some pretty boring parts. You go across Saskatchewan, there's not a lot to see. There's some fun named cities. There's places named Climax, and Regina is a fun word to say. But other than that, other than that, there's not a lot to see. What was the drive from Florida to Vegas like?
It was very interesting. I had never done a drive like that before, especially by myself. And around the passing through Texas area, it's very bland. I could have gone the long way and gone more interesting routes, but I wasn't into it. So I just wanted to do a straight shoot, get there, bye, Florida for now.
Was Florida, growing up in Florida, was it really as weird as I mean, at the time, I'm sure it didn't seem weird, but looking back at it now, is Florida's a weird place?
You know what? It's so funny. It wasn't. I had a pretty normal childhood. I mean, I do miss the green in Florida, and I miss being near the water. But other than that, I mean, honestly, my dad says Vegas is very similar to Orlando. It's just Disneyland for assholes. So.
Listen, I've been to Disney World. I met some assholes there too. So
yeah. 90% of them are children. So
there you go. Getting to Vegas and living there, did anything surprise you about living in Las Vegas? I mean, I think everybody's got this preconceived notion of what the city is like, but now that you're living there, again, is there anything that really kind of surprised you about the city?
Yes. When I was here for my tour, I mostly stayed on the Strip. I mean, I was living at the LVH. And so when I moved here, realizing that outside of the Strip is just normal life. And now I live in BFE, close to Red Rock. And I live in a gated neighborhood with trees and a yard. And I mean, it's normal. It's normalized completely. The one thing that I did is that whole mindset of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. People really think that. They come here and they literally think nothing matters what they do. And it's like, hey, I live here. It matters to me. That was actually pretty surprising, because you think, oh, people get it. It's just a saying. No, they think it's real.
Yeah, people go to Vegas thinking it's the wild, wild west, and it's this lawless place where
no consequences.
Yeah, you could murder a human being, and it's just man, whatever. No
It'll
biggie.
Stay here. It's fine. They'll clean it up.
Isn't that what the resort fees are for? I mean.
Well, that's what they're for.
Phone down to the front desk. I need a rug. Don't ask why. I just need a rug and somebody to take it away in a few minutes.
Oh, ma'am, we never ask why. Don't worry.
I want to learn a little bit about your musical background and your performance background and such. I mean, I'm assuming that you started playing and performing as a child.
Not playing, singing. Yes, I've been singing since I was 3.
Oh, okay.
I used to do these mother-daughter pageants with my mom, and we would dress up, do like the Shirley Temple bits and stuff. So I've been doing that for a very long time. My brother is also a performer. My mom was a elementary school music teacher for 37 years. So music has been in my life since I was very, very young. Playing, I went to college for vocal performance, and I had to have a secondary instrument as a vocalist, and piano was the logical choice. So I've been playing piano since I was 11, but I didn't really get into theory and understanding piano until I was in college.
And any other instruments in your repertoire other than the piano and the guitar?
Actually, yeah. When I started dueling pianos, the club that I started working for in Orlando was called Howl at the Moon, and they wanted their players to play multiple instruments. So they actually taught me how to play the bass and the drums. I know a little bit of mandolin. I can play the harmonica pretty well, but I know how to play all of those things un poquito. Like I am a master of none. So, but it's all smoke and mirrors, baby. It's all like, ooh, look what I can do. And layman is like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. But then a person who actually plays it is like, she sucks.
But I mean, doing dueling pianos and that, I mean, I've been to the different piano bars in Vegas, and I've seen yourself and different performers play. The amazing, massive musical knowledge that you guys have to have is incredible to me. That just absolutely blows me away that you guys are just somebody just say, hey, play blah, blah, blah song, and cool, here we go.
Yeah, that's actually the hardest part of the job, is having a wide enough repertoire where if you get an obscure song, you can probably figure it out, especially with pop music. And iPads are a godsend these days. So you Google it, it's got chord charts. Usually the hardest part are the words. And so that's where the iPad comes in handy. But it's actually pretty cool. It's one of my favorite parts about the job, is surprising people on how much we can actually do.
Yeah, you're bang on with that as a person that has absolutely no musical talent or ability at all. To be at any of these piano bars and such. And yeah, when somebody throws out some random weird third tier Don McLean song that five people have heard of, and you guys are actually able to pull it out and say, yeah, here you go. That blows me away.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, and watching people's faces and stuff like that. And then, you have to take into consideration that someone's like trying to mess with us by giving us, mamas and the papas. It's like, come on, dude, we're having a party. Like, but
yeah,
money talks, baby.
Do Amazing Grace.
Oh, you have no idea how much that comes up, actually. It's like,
really?
Okay, everybody, put your alcoholic beverages down. We're going to church real quick.
How often do you get stumped, if ever?
No, I definitely get stumped. I would say 1 out of 20. And granted, we get a lot of songs, so you could actually mull your way through the songs you don't know, being like, oh, I've got all of these songs to play. And also forgetting that I'm not alone. I've got my partner sitting across from me, and 9 times out of 10, another team that's coming back. Between the 4 or 5 of us, someone's going to know the song. And that's, people aren't really thinking that at the time when they're trying to stump us, but between 4 people, thousands of songs. we know. And but it's fun. People love it and I love it. So
do you ever start feeling like a top 40 radio station where you're just playing the same songs over and over again? Like, how many more times can you sing Don't Stop Believing by Journey?
Every single day, every single time I work, I'm like, I am just a jukebox. But the difference, which is why one of the reasons why I love Dueling Pianos so much, is that we're not just a band. Because it's not just music that we're offering. We're offering improv, we're offering comedy, we're doing crowd work, we're doing calling people down and celebrating birthdays and anniversaries, and we're an all inclusive variety show, and there's really nothing else like it. And I think that's what draws people in, is that they realize, and obviously what keeps them there is that we're singing hits, we're doing the songs that people want to hear. But what keeps them there for 3, 4, 5 hours is that, we're paying attention to them, and we're making them laugh, and we're making them drink, and we're making them dance. And that's what I personally think is special about Dueling Pianos.
It's funny that you talk about that whole idea of playing the same songs over and over again and playing, quote unquote, the hits. I worked in radio for almost 20 years, and a good portion of that was at classic rock stations.
Right.
And you'd get that complaint from the listener. How come you play all the same songs all the time? How come you don't play Joe's Garage by Frank Zappa every 3 days, but you play Stairway to Heaven every 3 days? And the response would be like, well, dude, because you and 11 other people know that song, but Stairway to Heaven is a bona fide hit and people are going to keep listening.
And it's also easy because it's an all request show that we can blame it on them too. It's like, hey, this is a shitty song, but you asked for it,
Everybody in this bar hates you right now, and it's your fault because of this song.
It's super fun.
I kind of love that. And again, like you say, you guys are doing, you're an all-inclusive, all-encompassing entertainment experience. Mm-hmm. You can do that. How long has it kind of taken you to get that ability to kind of work with a crowd and just sort of off the cuff and riff and improvise with people?
It took me actually not very long for that side of it. That part of the show comes very natural to me. I think it's because of my musical theater background, and as a self-proclaimed comedian, I guess, at that time, I just fell into it. The hard part for me was the musicality, making sure that I was playing the song correctly, doing it in keys, as a female, thinking about doing the songs in keys where normal people can sing them with me, and not singing where I'm comfortable and it's too high for everybody. These are thoughts that have to go through my mind because it's more about them participating than me showing off.
Sure.
That's another thing about the show that I really love, that it's not about the performers, it's about the audience and their experience and having a good time.
And Dueling Pianos is one of those things that I think, even if you maybe have it in your own city, it's something that you maybe don't go out to very often, if at all. But when you're in a city like Las Vegas, where there's so much entertainment, it's one of those things that you have to go see. And I know when I have people reach out to me and they say, what shows should I go see? What should I go do? I always throw out there, you have to go to a dueling piano bar or dueling piano show, because it's so much fun.
Right. And there's nothing like it too. All the shows, no matter how grand and big they are, or even small, you're doing it and I'm watching. And so with Dueling Pianos, we're doing it and you're doing it with us. and you guys are in charge. This is your show, not ours. And it just makes it very special, I think.
Yeah, Cirque du Soleil is not inviting this fat kid up to swing on the trapeze with them.
I mean, they might now. They need to sell tickets, man.
This is very true. I know there are people that would pay money to see this guy hanging off of one of those ropes at Love.
Hey, whatever sells.
Whatever works. I wanted to talk about some of your past gigs and projects, things that you've worked on in the past. Tell me about Pianos to the Death. This looked like such a fun project. You created Pianos to the Death, did you not?
I did, yes. Actually, I wrote it for the Orlando Fringe Festival in 2017, and it was premiered there, and it was a pretty big success. Actually, it was my first show that I've ever written, and it was largely based on the Dueling Pianos mock and theme. Just a tiny twist. Have you ever seen The Running Man?
Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
So think The Running Man with pianos, and that's Pianos to the Death.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Any plans to bring that back this year once things kind of get moving again?
I don't know about this year, but we did do it here in Las Vegas at the Space. Cheryl produced it, and I had so many talented local performers and players and people working on the show and helping me write a different show for Vegas. And it was a good success as well. It was just very expensive and time consuming for me. And until I can find Mr. Moneybags, it's probably going to be on a shelf for a little bit, but I'd love to bring it back. I think it would be a really great show for Las Vegas because it is a Dueling Pianos style with a kind of grandeur Vegas-y lift. So it's pretty cool.
With the level of talent that's in Las Vegas, is it easier to put together a show like this just because there are so many amazingly talented performers in the city? Or does that actually make it harder because you've got so many more people to choose from and limited number of roles and spots for people to perform?
Well, this was the first time that I actually had an experience where I was picking. I've been auditioning since I was 19 years old. And so it was a very different experience being on the other side of the table for me. But we had so many great people audition, and it was a very, very simple process. I mean, it was easy to find them. People want to work. People want to do original projects. That was the biggest thing. I had so many people come and be like, oh my gosh, this is original stuff coming out of Vegas. This is what we want. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with the Space and Cheryl, is because they are very big on this is Vegas born. This is people pushing out original stuff, because you don't see that too often. It is happening. It's just not advertised as much as the, main strip stuff. So it was actually not difficult at all to find talent and people, because people are hungry for it, especially the performers here. They want to be a part of something, and, having gigs and making money is what we're all here to do, but we're also artists at the end of the day, and we want to feel like we're doing something creative and, something we're a part of.
Was it kind of fun being on the other side of the table rather than the side where you're under all the pressure and auditioning? Was it kind of fun to be on the other side of the table saying, yes, no, maybe, I'll get back to you. We'll call you.
Yeah. At first I loved it. And then I was like, I don't want to be in charge anymore. I just want to come here and have a script and read it and go home. It was a very stressful experience for me. I'm not sure I'm cut out to be a producer. I like the idea of being in charge, but then I everything's here. And they're like, what do we do, Sarah? I was like, I don't know. But that's a really good question. And to answer, that's the best. That's the best answer.
I'll accept that as an answer. It's okay. I'll take it. I wanted to talk about Rating the Rock Vault as well.
Okay.
You got to be a part of this show, and this, in my mind, is one of the coolest shows in Las Vegas. Such an amazing group of talented rock and roll legends, and you got to be a part of this. I kind of want to know, I mean, how cool was it to be a part of that show?
It was really cool. It was once in a lifetime experience for me. I met my boyfriend, Andrew Freeman, and he was one of the lead singers in the show from the very beginning when it started at the Las Vegas Hilton. And so I actually moved here when it was still at the Hilton, and I was there to see it from the very beginning. And from the very beginning, I was in awe of the show. Not only the uniqueness of the show, but the talent and meeting the guys and becoming friends with them and, doing life with them. It was really cool. Unfortunately, I was a little too young to know who most of them were. So I wasn't necessarily like starstruck, but after finding out, their background and their repertoire, and it's just like, holy crap, these are freaking rock stars. And, now it's kind of like old hat to me. My boyfriend's a rock star, whatever. It's like, he writes thousands of songs and millions of people know him. Whatever.
And I mean, for those that don't know, Rating the Rock Vault is an incredible show. It's probably one of the biggest gatherings of rock and roll legends all in one place. I mean, you've got performers from Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, and Bon Jovi, and all these different again rock legends in one spot. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about some of the stuff you are currently working on,
okay.
Which I guess in the current world situation is not an easy thing to be doing. The inability to actually get out and be able to perform in front of people. You've been doing a ton of online stuff, which has been really, really cool to watch.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a lot of fun to see. Was it hard to make that pivot from being out in front of people several days a week to all of a sudden I'm in my house and I need to figure out how to do this?
Yes, it was very difficult. I tried a few times to do live streams, and they were a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It's just different problems, like different situations of I'm trying to do the request vibe, and my internet freaking sucks, and I'm trying to look at the requests from everybody, and people are sending me tips on Venmo, which was so generous, and so I appreciate it so much, because I'm out of work right now. But it was just so much going on, and I couldn't focus on everybody, and I'm trying to be funny and play music, and it was very difficult. I haven't tried it again since. It was kind of depressing for me. But the things that I have been pretty successful with are video recording and doing stuff like that. TikTok is actually the place where I have been getting a lot of success from as of late because of the quarantine, which is, I know, sounds stupid, but it's actually pretty cool.
It's TikTok is one of those things. It's a platform. And I guess, I don't know if there's a quote unquote stigma associated with it, that it's for.
Oh, there definitely is. 100%. There is definitely a stigma, and it is for, it was created for children. And even there's like a lot of like hate on the app from the kids to the adults, because there's a lot of adults on the app now, and they just tear into these people. I've gotten a little backlash, but not too much. But yeah, they are not happy. Adults are on the app. They are not happy.
I'm guessing it's kind of similar to along the same lines as, I mean, when Facebook was sort of in its infancy and all of the sudden, like, your mom is on Facebook. Oh, yes. Shit.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's very similar to that. And granted, some of these children and the things that they post, and I know I sound so old when I talk like this, but I'm like, dude, where are your parents? I mean, I sound so old when I say it, but I mean it. I mean it with fervency. But
it's okay. I've legitimately told children to get off my lawn, so trust me. I'm not even making that up. I have actually out the front door yelled, "Hey, get off my lawn." Like, it's a thing that's actually happened.
That's hilarious.
You've got a bunch of projects that you've been working on as well. You just popped out your comedy EP, live music stuff, which was a lot of fun to listen to.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you listened. Yeah, it was really fun. And that's another thing that's I've been doing through quarantine, is I've got all of these recordings, and now I can focus on them and put them out. And I'm actually getting a lot of success and a lot of great feedback from it. People are subscribing to my Spotify and my YouTube channel, which is what I'm trying to push towards. And TikTok is helping a lot. I put snippets out on TikTok, and if people like it, then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll record it and I'll put it out on Spotify.
Something else you put out that was a lot of fun to watch was your Trump money video that you did with John D. Domenico.
Yeah, that was super fun. I have been wanting to work with John ever since I met him, and it was just a perfect timing with, everything. And I actually got the idea from my little one, and and so I wrote the song, and I asked John to do the video with me, and he was ecstatic, and he was obviously perfect.
Yeah.
And another really great project that I loved doing.
Very, very cool. As things start to open up and get back to some semblance of normality, where can people go and see you performing in Las Vegas?
I am mostly at the bar at Times Square in New York. And I also work at a piano bar at the Excalibur called The Big Bang. It's inside the Dick's Last Resort. So those are the two places that you can mainly find me.
And if people want to search you out online, give you a follow, find you on social media, how can they do that?
All my handles are at Sarah Hester Ross. And my website is my name, and you can find me. And listen, don't worry about stalking. If I didn't want stalkers, I wouldn't put it up there. So stalk away, please.
Sarah Hester Ross, thank you so much for taking time to jump on the podcast and have a conversation with me today. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Jeff.
If you want to learn more about Sarah and check out her amazing work, you'll find links to her website and all her social media in the show notes at jeffdoesvegas.com. And that wraps up yet another episode of the podcast. If you've got feedback on this episode of the show, or any other episode for that matter, or you've got suggestions and ideas for topics you'd like me to cover on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to me via Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Jeff Does Vegas. You can also email me directly at jeff@jeffdoesvegas.com. In the meantime, thank you so much for checking out the show. Be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts so you'll know the moment new episodes are available. And don't forget to visit jeffdoesvegas.com for past episodes, show notes, and a link to the official Jeff Does Vegas YouTube channel. My name is Jeff, and this has been episode number 65 of the Jeff Does Vegas podcast.